If you, like I just said, if it's 2024, if you haven't acknowledged the past, then you're probably too ignorant to be helped. And I need to focus on the people who can be helped.
I think that
That's
people can learn to abandon willful ignorance. I do. I've
and you
seen
have a
it. I've
lot of
seen it.
hope in humanity than I do.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we have to. If you, yeah, I taught a mindset presentation last week in my classes, and one thing we talked about is a very pervasive thing in mathematics learning, which is people saying, "I'm not a math person. I'm not good at taking math tests.
Yep,
I, you know, it goes, the
that's
list
a
goes
thing,
on and on and on, but they're limiting beliefs that people have about themselves and math. And
dude. I wrote a whole blog on limiting beliefs. I love that subject. Yeah,
yeah,
go.
so I mean, I think ultimately that's what we're talking about is it's just a different context. But what I taught about was, you know, ultimately it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay? If you don't believe that you can do math, you will make that true. You will make that come to pass. All right? You won't study. You won't challenge yourself. You will not
Mhm,
persevere. Okay? Because you already believe that no amount of energy or time or effort that you put in is going to be worthwhile and work. And that's
mhm.
like, I hear you doing the same thing in this context. I'm not going to spend my time doing that. I'm not going to put energy into something that's not going to work. These people are a lost cause. It's the same, literally, if we were dealing with math, it would be identical. And so I just feel like, we have to open ourselves up to the possibility of people's potential being actualized, people coming out of ignorance. And once you see it, right? Once you see it happen and once you see the results of it happening, that is
Mhm.
when you become more motivated to do more and to go further. And I guess because of me experiencing it at 6 years old, seeing that willful ignorance that he had about himself, about being black, right? And his identity as a black person and what he took on for that, and seeing that ignorance that he had about himself, like I have been just for the last few decades, just having conversations about race and watching people shed those limiting beliefs and doing it for myself. I have beliefs about myself that I had to shed, that I had to realize were false, that I had to
Like
realize,
what?
hmm?
Like what?
Like for instance, let's see, what's a good example? Um, so for instance, music was my first love. Okay, I used to be a musician. I used to play jazz trumpet. Um, I was going around playing gigs as a child. You know, once I played a gig in a mall with a little small jazz combo band, and we were walking out, and the mall was
Mhm.
huge, and there was another band performing, and they stopped us because they knew me. I was just a kid, and they wanted to play a song with me. So I pick out my horn. I just start playing with this random band. I didn't know any of these people. They somehow got wind of me. I had no concept of this, like making a name for myself or anything like that. I was just playing. I was just enjoying and playing and whatnot, right? I had a belief at a certain time when you're a musician, you have to make a choice to continue or to stop.
Mhm.
And at the time that I chose to stop, the reasoning that I used was that there was no way that I could make a living being a professional musician and support
Mhm.
myself because I didn't have an understanding of how to make that happen. And I had that belief. I just was like, there's no way I can do this. This is not something I can pursue. Upon reflection, years later, okay, I realized that that wasn't true. Okay, of realizing that some of my friends had done it, some other people in my band had done it, of understanding more and gaining knowledge about how people did it and what sacrifice one might have to make, but that it was possible and that it was possible for me at that time. But it was my belief that it was not possible that stopped me. I didn't believe it. So that is why I didn't pursue it. I decided that it wasn't possible. And so that belief dictated the outcome. And nothing else dictated the outcome. Had I pursued it, it would have worked. It would
How
have
do you know?
definitely. Hmm?
How do you know it would have worked?
Because it was already working, but I couldn't even see it. I couldn't even see what was right in front of my face. I was already playing gigs. I was already making money doing it. But I somehow, just because I didn't believe that it was possible to continue and to grow it and to do something more, I just didn't believe it. And it was my belief that ruled the day. Like it was that dictated my decision, not the money that I had made already, not all the people who had come up to me and told me I changed their lives by them hearing me play, not the guy who I did an audition for and it was a blind audition. They weren't supposed to look at me, who turned around and looked at me just to see who I was because of what he
Mhm.
heard. Now, all of these things meant nothing in the face of my belief that it wasn't possible. That is what dictated my decision. And there's many other examples, okay? But that's one. All right? And if you have a belief that something is not going to happen, you'll make it true. You'll make it not happen. That is how it
Mhm.
works. It works in every context. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and that's what it does. And so I try and teach my students in math, as in math, in my opinion, as in race. You know, if
So
we don't believe that people can come out of racial ignorance, then they definitely will not. And the reason that I believe it is because I believed it from jump. I believed that that kid wasn't a lost cause who would never come out. And he did come out of racial ignorance. I know because I met him 30 years later and I knew he expressed that he had gone beyond that. So I have to believe it. And I also know that coming out of it does change what people think and it changes what people do. And so I just,
so
yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
my question to you is, was it a limiting belief? Did limiting the belief help or hurt you that lawyer position that you wanted? You didn't get the position, but did you not believe that you weren't going to get the position?
Listen, brother, so many things happened to me during law school that could have made me believe that. Okay, I never believed that I couldn't become a lawyer. I still don't believe it. I could still become a lawyer to this day if I chose. Okay, I've made a conscious choice not to pursue law as a profession at this point, but at that time, I was stopped over and over and over and over. Did I ever believe that that meant I couldn't do it? No, I never believed that. I
So
always knew that I could do
the
it.
so what's the difference in the conscious choice that you made to stop pursuing become a lawyer, and between that and the conscious choice you made to stop being a musician? What's the
Because the
difference?
choice was based on my belief that it was not possible back then. Not a conscious decision that that was not what I was going for, that it was no longer my goal. When I stopped trying to become a lawyer because it was no longer my goal to become a lawyer. Like so
And it wasn't your goal to become a musician?
like I wanted it to be my goal, but I did not choose to make it my goal because I didn't believe it was a goal that I could actually succeed at pursuing. I did not
Okay.
abandon my goal to become a lawyer because I didn't believe I could become a lawyer. I still believe I could become a lawyer. I could become a lawyer right now if I want. I could set that as a goal and then become a lawyer. All right. I'm making conscious choices, but no, it wasn't my limiting
Yeah.
beliefs that dictated that. Back then it was. That's the difference. And, you know, I think that it's perfectly fine to make a conscious choice, you know,
Yeah,
to
I'm just trying to figure out what's the difference between a conscious choice to like go back to the illustration about me. Like you can kind of convince me that kid that you said you ran into, who had those beliefs about himself. You can talk me into trying to talk to that kid or like believe in that kid to help that kid. But I make a conscious decision. I'm not going to try to make racist people not be racist or influence their way of thinking.
listen,
Like,
that's perfectly fine. But the problem I had with what you
mhm,
said wasn't that you're making that conscious choice. The
mhm.
problem that I had with what you said,
The problem that I said that there's no help for them.
exactly, the
Okay, yeah,
reasoning that
uh-huh,
it was not possible to help them, that
okay,
that your time and energy would be wasted because it was not possible to bring
okay.
them
You
out.
do have a point. I will amend that by saying it is possible. It's just not something that I want to spend my time
And
and
that's
effort.
perfectly fine. I don't think anyone should be forced to spend their time and
Yeah,
energy doing anything they don't want to do. I think everyone has to choose for themselves what they want, you know? Like
yeah,
I don't spend my time trying to get people to decide to do something they don't want to do. In fact,
hmm
just quite the opposite. I try to get people to decide what they do want to do and then go for that, you know?
hmm
And if it's not, like for some of my students, I'll tell them sometimes, I'll be like, maybe this is not what you want. And that's fine. You know, that's
hmm
perfectly fine. But you need to make a choice. And then you need to stick to that choice and go for the choice that you really want. If this is
yeah,
not it, that's okay. But if it's not it and you're here, that's a problem. You're wasting your time and energy in that sense. Trying to
yeah.
do something you don't even want, you know? So yeah, like I mean, I don't think fighting a battle of the mind, is for everyone. I'm a mentalist, brother. I have a lot of skills that allow me to be really good at this work, having conversations, communicating with people, helping people
hmm
work through their thoughts, bringing people out of ignorance. It's a skill that I have that I've developed over time, and that I enjoy doing it. I enjoy helping people with that because I enjoy when it gets done for me too. Like when I come out of ignorance, it's a joyful experience. It's an experience that has real implications on one's future. When you're not walking around ignorant, it's empowering. When you have
hmm
knowledge, you get empowered. Okay? And all I want to do is empower people to make the choices that they want for themselves. It's not a certain choice. It's not a certain thing that I want. I want people to make a choice with knowledge. That's what I want.
You make a
Whatever
choice with
that.
knowledge. That's
Hmm?
so funny that you just say that because I say the exact same thing. Well, I say it in a different way. I don't care like what your decision is, but making a decision in ignorance that doesn't sit well with me.
Exactly. I want people to make informed choices. And a lot of people are making ignorant choices in the race context with how they want to deal with the world around them in racial terms. It's based on ignorance. And that's a
Mm.
problem. That is why we don't solve this that's why this problem persists. So I believe that is the root of the problem. I believe that there's various ways of dealing with it. Helping people mow their way through the issues, right? And the barriers that they exist, that is a necessary element of the solution. But another necessary element is bringing people out of racial ignorance. I think it's incontrovertible. Thanks for watching. For access to the full-length conversation and all of the 2-hour long unedited conversations that I've had on race, click the support link in the description below. Thanks for your support and see you next time.